Hello and welcome to another screencast edition of Autodesk Maya. Today we'll be actually learning to rig. Um, when it comes to rigging, rigging is what you call a digital armature in sort of claymation standpoint. So if you ever watch stop motion animation, what it is a very basic setup and construction of the human skeleton or skeleton to any humanoid or even quadruped or any animal that you've created. But anyways, uh, basically, in short, the rig is basically the skeleton to your 3D mesh model. Again, when it comes to biology, the skeletal system consists of at least 206 bones in the body. But with the rig, it simplifies it to its more coarse set of joints that we frequently use in our body. So make sure you have your model ready. Make sure everything's reorganized and parented and grouped to its appropriate area. Lastly, press spacebar, then proceed forward to have it set up into your quad orthogonal view. Reason why is when we begin to set up the skeleton, you need to make sure everything's in place, centered, and accurate. Because when we begin to bind the skin and animate it, you don't want the skin to melt off or peel off onto its rig. So think of it as, not trying to glue everything in. So once we have that, don't forget on your front and side view, we're going to use this predominantly now. Don't forget to go to shading on this sub menu right here onto your quad orthogonal view and go to wireframe. This will help you see the whole object, especially when you begin to rig, because if you don't do that, you'll have a hard time finding out where each set of the joints are. The shortcut key to put it into wireframe mode is the number 4 key. Automatically, just like that. It's set up. Now that we have that, so the next step, 2, is to set up the bones. So let me also do this right here. All right then. So what I'm going to do before we do anything else, you're going to go to your menu set, the set menu right here. Click on this and select rigging. As you see, you have your menus change completely to sort of benefit to the settings that it has. It's appropriate. Now, what you're going to do is go to skeleton and create joints. So you have now a new cursor and where you're going to place the new joint here. I'm going to use our front view, and under the belly button and above the pubic bone, right here, we're going to set up our first joint. So what we're going to do, we already created it. Make sure you double click and rename this and call this root. I'm going to stress this several times. When you begin rigging, name your joints. Again, when you begin rigging, name your joints at all times, because when you have a complex rig and begin set driven keys, the last thing you want to do is trying to find joint number 542 and having to fish through the sea of different joints. So it's best that you name your joints so you could differentiate and easily find that specific joint, because it gets complex after you bind the skin. So now that we have that, make sure if your root is already selected, then you may proceed forward. So actually I'm going to move this right here so it's fully centered. So as you notice, I had to use both the front and side. So once I have that, I'm going to select this, and you notice the root hasn't been selected. So I'm going to reselect it by clicking it once to reactivate it. Then proceed forward to create a spine. So I'm going to make spinal column. And what I'm going to do is stop here onto the top of the head. So when I go here, press enter, and I've already set up my spinal column, just like that. You may adjust some of the parts of the spacing of your spinal column if you have to, just to make sure everything is proportionate. There we go. So now that I have that, I'm going to open up the submenus and hierarchy that is provided here. So you'll notice when I keep on clicking down, you'll notice that there is what you call a staircase column setup of hierarchy. Now, again, I'm going to stress this point again. Rename your joint so at least you could tell from which one is which. So I'm going to call this spine 1, spine 2, spine 2. Repeat the process. Spine 3, spine 4, spine 5, spine 6. I'm going to stop there at this point. Let's see. Spine 7. Missed it by, I was a little bit short. Now by joint 8, or instead of calling it spine, since you know that this joint area is next to the neck, so what we're going to do is call this neck. And the top here is going to be called head. So when you have the root, now you have your joints provided right here. Now that we have that, we've created our first step to our making our rig. This concludes today's tutorial of Autodesk Maya. Thank you.